One of the healthiest things that I do for my dogs is feed them human foods as snacks or food toppers and even part of their regular diet. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 fall-themed human foods that are not only healthy for my dogs, but also biologically appropriate. This just means these foods are gonna have the most bang for their buck. And you better believe that this video is not gonna be like any other one you've seen on the internet where I'm gonna do dog-safe pumpkin recipes or apple recipes, because there's enough of those. You already know the basic foods that are healthy for dogs. You wanna learn about new and different stuff because you wanna be able to give your dogs a variety of foods, and that's what I'm gonna share today. So let's just jump into this video right now. Y'all, this first food item is going to blow your mind. And I really love this because it's accessible, it's easy to find, it's pretty affordable, and it's something that when you're walking down the grocery aisle to get foods for you and your family, you can easily grab and give to your dog. And that is none other than baby food. And you may be thinking, wait, babies, like for humans? Absolutely. And this is an excellent and easy way to add food on top of your bowl of kibble, or if you're feeding a fresh or wet food diet, you can feed it in there, or it can be used for easy little recipes. And I'll show you again at the end of the video a fun way to feed this, but this is just such an easy thing that you can scoop and serve. Now, there are things I want to be careful of when I'm looking at baby food. First and foremost, I always make sure that it's organic. And the reason is that studies have shown organic food and organic ingredients have a higher nutrient density than those that are not. And I always want to verify that the food is non-GMO and that they're using the most sustainable packaging or canisters to hold the food as possible. The other thing and most important part, which can be a tiny bit tricky, but I'll walk you through it, are the ingredients. So 2 I grabbed right now that are really in season are carrots, and that's it. It's imperative that when I'm picking out a baby food option, that it's either single or minimal ingredient. There's no added sugars. There's a lot of ingredients I don't love that they typically add in these foods. One are preservatives, of course. So if you see any preservatives in there, for me, I skip it. Peas, I'm not a big fan of peas in their food. Any grains, I've seen many add like oats or oatmeal in here, and that's just added carbohydrates that dogs really just don't need. There's not really a nutritional need for that. I also don't love the ones that have any added sugar, of course. So sometimes you'll see foods add in a concentrate from a fruit, but when it's in that concentrate level, it's really just sugar in that sense. Oh, and I also want to make sure that there's never any salt added. That's usually added as a preservative or flavor enhancer. And you'll see for this second one, this is obviously not sponsored, I just picked these up from my local grocery store, is just organic winter squash. Again, these are kind of fall themed foods we can add to our dog's bowl. And the quantities are gonna vary a little bit, right? Like I have 2 60-pound dogs, so I could feed them one of these on top of their bowl of food and that would be plenty. If I had a 10-pound dog, I'd probably give them like a teaspoon of this. But here's the reason why we're doing this, right? And then I'll talk about a few other ingredients. It has been widely shown that fresh and real foods are extremely valuable to our dog's health, well-being, and longevity. And many of us pet parents are feeding a dry processed food like a kibble. And if you've watched me for any amount of time, you know that my favorite type of dog food to feed is a raw, fresh food diet, which I will talk about that at the end of the video. So if you're like, what does that mean? Just stand by and we'll get to that. But especially if you're feeding a more processed food, something that's kind of sitting in the shelves of the pet store, and you know that you want to add some like real fresh food or even variety to your dog's bowl, this can be a really easy, accessible way to do that. Plus, dogs love it. So the reason I tried carrot, or I picked carrot, is one, it's in season, obviously, and it's naturally packed with beta carotene, which is excellent for dogs' skin and coat. It also has vitamin A, vitamin C, and a good source of potassium. So it is really nutrient dense. And the reason I chose winter squash is, of course, it's in season, so it's gonna be really easy to find. It's also widely known to be excellent for dogs' muscle health, their immunity, and of course their vision, because it's packed with vitamin A, vitamin C, fiber, and potassium naturally. So it's an excellent additive. And even further than that, you can absolutely feed the real full whole food versions of these foods. It doesn't have to be baby food. The reason I like this though is that dogs are not able to naturally break down the cell walls of fruits and vegetables. So it's harder for a dog to get all of the nutrients that are available in this food if it's not broken down like in a baby food form, or again, pureed or put in a food processor. So one example is I love to feed my dogs some zucchini because again, they're nutrient dense. But what I love to do with it is I either finely chop it or I'll put it in the food processor, or you can see here, I'm preparing them some zucchini and I'm lightly sauteing it in low heat with a little bit of my favorite coconut oil, which my favorite coconut oil, dog treats and foods and everything are linked in my shop page down below. So you can check that out after this video. Oh, and coconut oil is a powerful antimicrobial agent because it is naturally rich in lauric acid. So it's overall just an incredible food. So if I'm gonna make a little bit of vegetables for like me and Mikey for dinner, for example, I may saute up a little bit more with no salt, no seasoning, nothing added, and just a little bit of coconut oil and low heat for the dogs, and they love it. But if you do have a puppy or dog that's teething, or you want to give them a really natural chew, you can give them whole raw carrots, and you can even freeze it and then they can chew on it. It can help clean their teeth. It can help with puppies that are teething as well. So it's a really fun kind of natural chew for a dog. Next up is none other than raw goat milk. You can find this in your local independent pet store. This is what I use. Of course, you guys know I'm a big fan of this company. I do their, Finnegan, can we see behind you? He loves it so much. I do their social media. So of course I'm a huge fan, but raw goat milk is one of the most healthiest real fresh foods that I could ever feed my dogs. And the reason is it's packed with probiotics, hi baby, digestive enzymes. It's also packed with electrolytes. So think of this as kind of like a Gatorade for dogs. And it's also packed with healthy fats. And because it's completely raw, not processed, not pasteurized, all of the nutrients are bioavailable. What most people don't realize is up to half of dogs in the country are suffering from chronic dehydration. And that means that our dog's not getting enough water or fluids. And this is an excellent way to give this to our dogs in a most natural food source. This next grocery store fall themed find is something that you may have heard that you can give dogs before, but you may not know how to pick it out. And that is, or are, green beans. And of course you can get fresh green beans from the produce aisle, and again, lightly saute them or puree them or finely process them, of course. But if you want something super easy and inexpensive, I love green beans. In fact, when Bentley was a puppy and I was training him a lot and he started to gain weight, yes, I'm not a perfect dog mom, Bentley at one point, and comment below if you want that story time of when I actually allowed him to get a little bit overweight. Just a little embarrassing, but it is what it is. I started feeding him green beans because they are so low calorie as his training treat, and I've never seen a dog go ballistic over vegetables like these. The key is, first and foremost, making sure that it is organic. I also make sure that it is BPA-free lining and non-GMO. This is how I personally eat, so it's really important that I do the same for my dogs. And of course, no salt added, no seasoning, nothing. There should be no salt. And this can be a little difficult to find, but as long as you go to a more holistic, nutrition-focused, organic type grocery store, you can find these. And what I do is I wait until they go on sale, which usually happens right about now, and I just stock up on them. Again, what I like to do with these is you can sprinkle a few on top of your dog's bowl. You can feed on its own as a training treat. Dogs love them. Or you can mash up because they're so soft and use in a fun way to feed, which I'll show you how that looks like and how that works in just a moment. I do have one more bonus fresh food ingredient that you can get at the grocery store, extremely inexpensive and freshens your dog's breath naturally. So if they do have a stinky breath, this would be for you. I do want to talk about two seasonings that you likely have in your cupboard, which I personally give to my dogs and have shown a tremendous benefit. First and foremost has been turmeric. And the two main reasons that I love giving this to my dogs is the fact that it can help tremendously with allergies, and both my dogs have seasonal allergy issues, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory ingredient. So this is incredible, because we all know that inflammation is the root of all evil, and anything I can do naturally to help reduce that, I'm gonna do. The way that I feed this is I'll usually feed it through a golden paste where I take a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of fresh ground pepper and some coconut oil, and I make a little bit of a paste. Comment below if you want me to show my golden paste recipe. And I always make sure that I get the organic non-GMO turmeric, and probably my favorite seasoning that is absolutely on brand for fall that I love giving to my dogs mixed in with their food is organic non-GMO cinnamon. The three main reasons that I love to give cinnamon is because it is widely known to promote heart health. It's also known to help manage blood sugar, which managing blood sugar is critically important for both humans and dogs, in my opinion. And it's also an anti-inflammatory ingredient, and you only need a little bit. For my dogs and for dosing, I typically give about 1/8 teaspoon per 15 pounds of body weight, and it's just enough to flavor their food a little bit and they really enjoy it. And again, I can sprinkle on top, or you could take a lick mat. So a lick mat, and I'll talk about the ingredients on here in a moment and why this is really amazing. A lick mat is, first off, you can find these in my shop page, which is linked in my description below, and there are special codes. But a lick mat is just a plastic flat silicone mat that's food grade, human grade, natural rubber. It has little ridges on it, and there are different types. And what it does is it forces your dog to lick to get their food or ingredient off of it. And why this is important is licking is a naturally soothing, anti-anxiety, anti-boredom, anti-stress activity and behavior that literally takes our dogs like here down to here. So if you have a dog that's struggling with separation anxiety, maybe it's a day that it's pouring rain and you can't take them on an exercise walk like you normally do, this is a great way to tire them, because mental stimulation is far more tiring than just physical exercise on its own for most dogs. So what I've done here, remember earlier I talked about one of my favorite breath busters. So if you go to the grocery store and you can find yourself some organic parsley. I love taking organic parsley, fine chopping it or mincing it or putting it in a food processor and giving it on top of my dog's food bowl, whether they're eating a dry food or a fresh food. Because what that does is it creates, when they're chewing on it, a natural breath freshener. It smells amazing, and then when they break it up with their teeth, it really helps with bad breath. But what I did with this lick mat is I took some of the raw, fresh goat milk that I talked about earlier. I poured a little bit on. I took some of the cooked, lightly cooked, sauteed zucchini that in the goat milk, and I kind of pushed it on a little bit when it was still warm. And then I took a little bit of the fresh parsley, put it on, and then I put it in the freezer overnight. And then this will be an excellent low calorie, mentally enriching treat for my dogs. Or you can go super simple, and what I did in this one is I just have the raw goat milk in here. Okay, let's not get in here. Oh my gosh, it's dripping because it's starting to melt. Raw goat milk in here, just froze it overnight. There's a little bit of organic cinnamon and a little bit of organic turmeric as well for anti-inflammatory properties. So these are excellent ways. Or you can take a West Paw topple, which you can see in my shop page below, and you could pour some of this baby food in there, or you can make a puree with some fresh vegetables and put in there, or put their dog food in there, freeze it, and have your dog work on it. And when you guys are feeding your dogs any of these foods, please, for the love of dog, tag me to upload a picture or video, and tag me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube here on the community page at RachelFusaro, because I love resharing it to give you guys some exposure and really just help elevate the awesome stuff you're doing for your dogs. I do want to preface one thing, that the foods that I'm showing, you know, the canned foods or the baby foods, of course, my top preference, right, is foods in its whole real form, and then I cook it myself. Of course, that's going to be the least processed version, but really what I was trying to show here are really easy finds that pack the most bang for their punch when it comes to nutrients and cost and accessibility. And comment below if you really enjoyed this video so I know if I should do it more. And if you want to see the dog food, let's talk about the actual foods that I love for dogs in the actual dog food category, click the video right here and we'll jump over there together and talk about that. Or if you want to see some favorite tricks that I like to teach dogs quickly, click the video right here. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.